Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be working on getting the cab onto the frame of this '74 Ford F250 project, along with running the fuel lines and a few other things. Alright, so we're back at working on this '74 F250. Last time I was sending this cab out to get media blasted. It went ahead and did that, had the floor pans media blasted and the firewall inside and out. I thought there was just going to be a little bit of surface rust, but it turned out to be some cancer. So I went ahead and replaced the floorboards in this thing, both passenger and driver side, and then went ahead and put a nice epoxy primer on that, and then painted it. Went ahead and did a rubberized undercoating underneath, and then did a nice semi-gloss paint on the firewall. I sent the inner firewall or inner fender wells and the core support out to get powder coated, the same color as the frame. Gonna get those back tomorrow, so it's gonna have a really nice looking engine bay. Going forward, we're gonna finish up doing some not really body work but paint work on this. We're gonna go with the patina look, so pretty much to prep for that, we're gonna be scuffing down this rust, kind of knocking it down so it's not so hard. In some places like this where it's not a whole lot of heavy rust, just a lot of missing paint, you got a lot of clean metal underneath that you can see. And then we're going to try something new, which is Poppy's Patina Wipe-On Clear Coat. It's been around for a while, but I've never used it, so going to see how that works. I'll give you a close-up here. One of the things we first got to do before getting that clear coat on there is prep the surface. There's a lot of oxidation on here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's kind of dull and white. And then kind of up here, it's more blue where I've actually worked it. It's a little brighter. So what I've done is I've did some soapy water and one of these Scotch-Brite pads and worked this down and really get the haze off of it. And then we're going to come back in with a polishing compound and buff out this paint because this old paint really does have a good shine to it when you buff it out. So we'll try to get that brought out, get a really good shine on it, and then put that clear coat on, and hopefully it'll lock in the original paint color on this and kind of prevent any of this rust from getting worse. The frame's sitting outside all covered up. Once the body's ready, we're going to roll that in, get the cab on, and then start doing electrical, fuel system, brakes, all that stuff. I just want to show you a little difference here between this one here that I just did the wet sanding on with this ultra-fine Scotch-Brite pad, and this one here which has all the white oxidation. So it's not super shiny yet, that'll come in the buffing, but we're already starting to get some of the blue back here versus this kind of hazed out white. So gonna do this door and then flip it over and get all the glass and stuff out so I can do around the door jambs and the windows there. So a little bit of progress on this body. Got the cab, the fenders, the hood, and the doors done. Working on the bed right now. Got this side mostly done, and then here's kind of a before of this side I haven't touched with the rougher rust and faded out paint here. One thing I did want to touch on was removing these side moldings. They all kind of have their own hidden features. This bed molding here, you got a bolt back here which decided to come out and stuck right here, but you have to access that through your tail light. And then you have this bolt up here midway, which would be right here. So you have to stick your hand up behind the fender well to get to that one. Once you get those undone, you just kind of go along with the trim molding tool and just pop it off. You pop it off these plastic guys here, and then you can knock those off these little indents there. This rear emblem here was a little bit tricky because it has, well, this one's busted off, but 1, 2, 3 nuts that you have to take off. One you can get from the tail light, the other one you have to stick your arm up inside the bed to get those off. I think these ones were 5/16 and the ones on the molding were 11/32. Same thing for the fender. You have a bolt up front here and a bolt in the rear that you got to undo, pretty sure. And then for the doors, you also have a bolt up front here and a bolt in the rear. I think there was a mix of 3/8 and 11/32 on that. Once you get those bolts out, then the moldings pop right off. So working away on doing more prep, getting the sanding or the the rust knocked down. This was pretty rusty from sitting out. But we got this side pretty much knocked down. Gonna switch over this side, get the moldings off of it, and then start cleaning this up. And then I think I'm gonna cut these off. They're bed hooks on each side, and they just look like a, I don't know, a coat hanger that you stick on the wall. I'll probably just do a cutoff wheel, cut those bolt heads off, and this one's not so bad. This one's all sticking out, and I don't think I really want those still on the side of my truck. So we'll keep on working away on cleaning this thing up, and next step will be clear coat. So it's a little quick update on the paint work. Got everything cleaned up, buffed up. Got a really nice shine to it here. Got it all washed down with the pre-rinse that comes with the kit, letting it dry right now, and then gonna hit it with the wax and grease remover, and then start putting the clear coat on. All right, so it's got this clear coat mixed up, and gonna start applying it. Got our applicator blowed off. I don't want any fuzz in there. We'll get a little bit of stuff on there, and we just swipe in one direction with a little bit of overlap. Right there. This door. What's on here? Door's good. Hold on. We're inside here. Right now, I'm gonna go for you. This inside here. Go there. You're missing spots. Right. Like, where's that one? Next one. Inside here. There. Oh, that's okay. Do the onwards in the center. There we go, got the cab on the chassis after a long time apart. I'm back inside the shop here. It's sitting a little higher than I was expecting, but that's not too bad. Do have it on some 2x4s here between the cab and the body mounts, so I can check some clearance on the transmission and stuff, but otherwise it's looking pretty good. I'll go ahead and show you what I'm working with on these transmission. I've done a ZF5 before, on a dent side, and I know there is some clearancing, so hopefully you can see this, but this little I'll call it a wing tab or whatever, it might be for like a jig for assembly, but this part here needs to be cut off because it's going to run into the cab right there when it sits down farther. And there's another one on this side we'll go ahead and trim too. It might have clearance, but we'll just do that just to be safe. We'll go inside the cab here, and there are some little tabs down in here, but we got plenty of clearance on that. But this little corner on the transmission, probably going to clearance that there, because it looks like there might be enough clearance, but just to be safe, we'll go ahead and clear that. Don't think there's going to be any issues around here. We should have plenty of clearance. This being a 351 or small block Ford, if you would, the bell housing isn't going to have any clearance issues. If you had a 460 big block or whatever, you would have some clearance issues. You get this inner lip in here, I think you'd have to clearance, but once you get those tabs clearanced, I think that'll be good. But I did find another issue. I'll go underneath and show you that. So the other issue I found is this top of the transfer case right here and right in here. It's wanting to hit, that's probably about an inch of clearance, so I need another ½ inch. I'm thinking about grinding down the top of the case here. It'll probably weaken where that bolts together, but there's plenty of bolts going wrong here, so that should be all right. I don't really want to cut on the cab because this is adding some rigidity to it along here. So if I cut this out, it'll probably make this flex a little more, so I don't want to do that. Other option would be to modify the crossmember. Would be required to redo the whole thing, but lower it down about a ½ inch on the crossmember. But then this bracket over here would also have to be modified. So if I had this do-over, I could possibly do that. But since this is welded in and I don't really want to redo all this and powder coat it, I'm just going to grind on this transfer case here. If I ran a 205, that'd probably simplify things, but the whole point of this project is to experiment. So I got a little ahead of myself. I got the cab pulled back up and set back on the frame here because I forgot to drill holes for the upper part of my transmission crossmember brackets. So I went ahead and 3D printed some templates here for both sides. They got some locating holes on them. Go ahead and drill some ½ inch holes in here and get those permanently bolted back on. Went ahead and finished smoothing up some of this stuff here. I'll probably go ahead and put some black paint on there now that the cab's off and clean this up a little more, and then we'll get the cab back on there. So made a bit of progress on this. Went ahead and got the cab bolted down, got the transmission crossmember all finalized, and the transfer case clearanced how I wanted to. Go ahead and show you inside here. Got some sound deadening installed on the floor, firewall, ceiling, and also on the door, so it doesn't sound so tinny anymore. Eventually I'll probably do some back here, but not quite yet. Let's see, got vintage AC installed, well, halfway installed. It needs the dash in here to support off of, so it's not, I can't finalize the bolt in, that's why it's held up with some twine there. Got the wiper motor assembly reinstalled, rebuilt the motor, just re-greased it and stuff. So I'm working away on a hydro clutch and a hydro boost conversion on this. Got the hydro clutch set up in here. It's something I'll be selling on my website soon once I finalize it. Really simple install. I'll have a more detailed video, but pretty much I got some 3D printed jigs to drill holes and stuff like that. Simple bracket that mounts on here, bracket that mounts on the pedal here, and a Tilton clutch master cylinder that mounts on the firewall. It all works, just trying to make some adjustments with ratios and stuff to get a good feel for the pedal and all the travel it needs. We'll go out in the front there and show the hydro boost also. So here's the clutch master cylinder. It's a Tilton clutch master with the line that goes down to the clutch slave down there. Got a reservoir here. So it's a nice full complete setup I'll be selling. This here is the hydro boost that working on. It's a 2005 I think to 2010 SuperDuty hydro booster that matches with these axles. And I'm working on a bracket. Had one here that I made, but once I put it in there, the pedal height wasn't how I wanted. So I'm working on a new one here, getting also an angle, because for some reason this booster kind of angles down from the factory. So getting an angle back up into it so it all looks right. Again, this is something I'll be selling on my website soon. Also have one for the vacuum boost. So if you got a parts truck that has a vacuum booster instead of a hydro boost, you can still use that. So yeah, working away on that. Got other stuff I'm working on. Got the track bar mount finalized and sent that off to powder coat with some other stuff. Gonna be working on some glass soon and just kind of button up some stuff, but right now working on finalizing this hydro boost and the clutch master cylinder. So while I was waiting for the redesigned clutch brackets and hydro boost brackets, I decided to work on the exhaust system here, and I got pretty much from the header back to the mufflers done. I'll show you what I got. Started with some shorty headers. I would have liked long tube headers, but one, they're expensive, and two, I don't think anyone that I could find makes long tube headers for a 351 Windsor into a two-wheel drive truck like this, just because it wasn't a factory engine, and maybe it just isn't a popular swap to put the 351 Windsor in here. Most people are doing a 460, and those are usually like a fender well exit header. Anyway, so started off with shorty headers. These are actually previously used off of a 1994 F250 with a 5-liter. Recommend not going with used headers, because when I weld these extensions on here, the material had a bunch of impurities fused into it, so it had a weld and then grind down and then re-welded a bunch of times because it was really porous welding. It just kept impurities keep popping out of it. So anyway, Start off with shorty headers, welded about an 8-inch length of 3-inch exhaust tube on, then downsized to a 2.5-inch V-band. The whole system I set up with V-bands. It's a lot better coupler for exhaust system than the old 3-bolt header flanges and any other exhaust coupler. These work really well. They're about 30 bucks a piece, so they cost you a little bit of money, but they worked out pretty well. So start with that, and then come down to these pipes here. Ended up going from the driver's side over to the passenger side. So both run down the passenger side, and then it comes over to this one here. Passenger side switches over to the driver's side, so we try to get an equal length overall exhaust tube. And then this cross pipe is a kind of a version of an H pipe to equalize the exhaust gas pulsation and make it sound better. And then we got some Flowmaster Super HP2 mufflers that I'm going to try out. They're a stainless muffler, but they decided to paint them. I'm gonna get this all high temp powder coated like I've done before on that gold truck. And I don't know if I showed you with the Bronco I worked on, but mild steel tubing. Never had any good luck with the exhaust pipe paint working. So the high temp powder coat works really good. It's a silver color. It looks pretty good. So yeah, I'm gonna get this stuff powder coated. Gonna take it off tomorrow, and then once it comes back in a couple of days, we'll be able to finish off the exhaust. These I'll leave not powder coated yet because I'm still not sure how I want to exit the exhaust. This system here ends just right before this cross member. So, you know, it's a toss-up. Do you go all the way out the back? Do you go to the side behind the tires? Do you go out in front of the tires? Do I cut a hole in the side of the bed and do bed exit? So that's the main exhaust system I got done there. Been working on the fuel system too. Got some braided line made up, and then a hard line ran down the frame rail supply. The supply line ends right there, so I'll have some braided line coming up here. Got a fuel pressure regulator there that runs to the Holley Sniper. So got to manufacture another return line. I'll show you that in just a little bit, how to make that. Yeah. So using a hard line to run down the frame rail is a lot cheaper overall. I don't recall exactly how much it costs, but I mean, that was 11 feet of hard line versus 11 feet of that braided line, which is close to $10 a foot sometimes. So I have this brake quip high-speed flaring tool kit, and it allows me to do 45, which is standard brake line, also 37-degree AN flaring. Holley sells a rebranded version of this. It's like $500 to $600. So it is an expensive tool, but it works really nice and allows you to do all this flaring. It holds the pipe in these dies, which works really well. Some of those cheaper rental tools, the pipe will slip. You mess up the pipe and all sorts of stuff trying to get it to hold so you can flare it. This works really well. Has a nice handle. You're not fighting it. The only thing is you got to do this up on a bench. You're not doing it on the vehicle. So I want to show you a little bit about this aluminum tubing that I'm using for the fuel line. It comes in a coil like this, and we use this straightener. This one's from Stupid Simple Tools. It's only like 120 bucks, and you just run it through here, and it straightens out that tubing. You can adjust different sizes. It looks like 3/16 up to 1 inch. And also I mentioned price on this stuff. So for a 25-foot roll of this 3/8 aluminum tubing through Summit, of course I got a discount on it, was $17. And then for a single end, so that would be the nut and the ferrule, was about $2 for both of those. When I bought the Earl's flexible line, for 20 feet, it was $180. And then for one end on that is $24. So significantly cheaper if you're doing long runs, and the price difference will pay for this tool in itself. And you can do not just aluminum, you can also do steel, stainless steel, whatever you want. All right, so I wanted to show you the setup here for flaring this. First, we want to put on the tube nut, slide that back there, and then we want to put on our ferrule, which right here doesn't want to slide on. So, and it'll work back and forth, but it's catching on the top and bottom. So that means that it's out around. And with this setup, I can squish it back into shape. And if I tighten this down, it'll kind of squish it back into the round shape that it's supposed to be. We'll go ahead and slide it all the way forward. Do the same thing. Now, should be able to, yep, there we go. Slide that ferrule right on there. We got this end in here. We'll push it forward to about there. So we're going to use the die set for the 45 degrees because it has a stop on there, which the 37 degree set doesn't. So I'll go ahead and put that stop up there, and we'll push this back to that point. Put that in there. Tighten this down. Pull that back. Make sure our nut and our ferrule are all going the right way so that we don't have to cut this back off. And on here we have an operation 1 and operation 2. So we find the operation 1 for, that's 3/16. Go around here to 3/8. Operation 1, stick that on there. Make sure it's all the way down. We just work that until it stops. And then we switch over to operation 2, which is 5/16 and 3/8. Work that in there. And then we'll loosen this. And there we have a nice flare that goes up against. So I got all the fuel system ran. Start from the back here. I got some flex line running to the hard line, and it's mounted up and ran up along the frame rail there. Go ahead and show you what we got up front here. Ran the hard line up to some unions down there, and then did another short piece for the return up to the regulator, and then a flex line from there all the way up to the Sniper EFI, and another one to the regulator there. So fuel system's all done. We'll have to flush it out, just open up these ends and run some fuel through it to flush any debris or stuff out before we try to fire this up. Still need to figure out a mount for the dipstick. It's a factory dipstick tube, but it's meant to hook on, bolt on to the outside of some exhaust manifold. So I'll have to fabricate that a little bit. Got this H-pipe set up, and then the Flowmaster set up here, and then still waiting to figure out what I'm gonna do. I might just dump these out here. I'm not sure how I wanna run this all. Because with that large fuel tank in the back, I'm not sure how to run the exhaust around that, underneath it. I might just dump it out here. So we're still figuring that one out. Got some shock mounts in here and a lower mount for this side because factory 08 rear axle, you got one shock coming up this way and one shock going up that way, which is in the same place as the fuel tank. So making a bracket to move that shock to the front here. Got to make some revisions on that as it didn't turn out the right place, but that's easy to do right now. So working on that. Back in here to the interior. Glass is in, windshield, side windows, and the back slider. Got the dash in, steering column rebuilt, and then if you can see, all the hydraulic clutch stuff is in there. Did a little bit revisions, but now it's all got good feel to it. It's not too heavy. Since this is sitting up here, I'll show you. It's a template for a single den bracket for the stereo in here. The factory ones, once you cut them enough to fit the single din, you hardly have any material left over here on the outside. So I guess this would actually go in this way. So something like that. Going to be developing that and then selling that on the website also. But go back out here to the engine compartment. Got the front clip set on here. It's not fully bolted. I might take it off to get some access to some other stuff, but it's definitely looking good. I like the black engine compartment, how it's turning out. Got the 05 Hydro Boost on here. Well, this is like 05 to 07-ish. This probably goes later because I think this is actually off of an 08. So it's probably like 05 to 10, maybe later, they use the same Hydro Boost. New bracket designed on there. It's angled up, So it's actually matching the engine there. Looks like we have a little bit of better clearance that way, and looks better. Plus have the right pedal height. Clutches out here. Need to do a different, install a different reservoir. I got all that set up to do. Also got the sway bar brackets all bolted up on here. So now it has a front sway bar. Put my logo on there. Figure it was appropriate. Instead of stamping it someplace else, that'd be a good place for it. So I'm actually picking up some stuff in here to roll this truck out so I can work on another project real quick. It's going to be a 1977 Ford Super Cab swapped onto a 2005 Ford SuperDuty chassis. So not just the axles, but the whole chassis. So I'll have a lot of details in that video, but that'll be something to look, and that's a whole nother kit I'm going to be selling on the website. Kind of got some of it sitting over here. But the idea is no measurements required. I got templates here with cut lines, so you cut the frame, move it back together, weld stuff up. These are bed mount brackets, but I got the same thing for the cab mounts, where they have these tabs which locate them on the frame. So again, no measurements, you just bolt them through a hole. Be something like so. Weld it on there, bust the tab off, and everything's in the right place. So hopefully to get these out soon onto the market, and people will start swapping frames really easily for that. So anyway, we're gonna get this out of the shop. So I think that's gonna be it for this video. Gonna roll this out, work on the other project, make some videos of that. And next time we roll this in here, gonna start working on the electrical, brake system, interior, putting the body back together, and hopefully get this thing running and driving this summer. So haven't already, go ahead and subscribe and watch for more.